Greetings everyone, my name is Gigi and this is Let's Build, wherein I build a LEGO set timed to different media and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the LEGO Plum Blossom versus Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. The footage I'm using for this game is science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. I apologize in advance for mispronouncing any names and or places. Spoilers ahead for Oracle of Seasons. You have been warned. If you want to help me reach my goals, please give me a like and subscribe. I'm just one person doing these videos after my full-time job, and I am grateful for every new subscriber. Specifications of the LEGO set. Take time out with LEGO Botanicals Plum Blossom Flower Decor Building Set for Adults. The plum blossom is a popular motif in traditional art, often portrayed in ink and wash paintings as part of a classic quartet of beautiful plants known as the Four Gentlemen. Indulge in a mindful building project, or treat a loved one to this timeless floral display. A perfect gift idea for any occasion. This detailed replica captures the elegance of the iconic winter flora with its woody stem and vivid red and magenta flowers. Set in a pastel blue flower pot with a golden band and wooden effect plinth, it is easy to assemble, delivers a rewarding building experience, and makes a beautiful easy care flower display for the home and office. Discover a space for relaxation with buildable models from the LEGO Botanicals collection, part of the inspiring range of LEGO building sets designed for adults. A digital version of the building instructions is available in the LEGO Builder app. Flower decor building set for adults. Take time out or join friends and family for a relaxing building experience with the LEGO Botanical Plum Blossom Flower Building Project. Creative building for plant lovers. This creative building set includes everything you need to craft a plum blossom flower and a pastel blue pot with a golden band and wood effect plinth. Detailed LEGO flower set for new and experienced builders. This LEGO interpretations of a plum blossom plant comes with an elegant woody stem and vivid red and magenta flowers. Easy care flower display for the home or office. Add a self-sufficient splash of color to any space with this buildable, zero-maintenance floral display. A mindful home decor gift idea. The LEGO Botanicals Plum Blossom Building Set makes a great birthday or any day gift idea for adult fans of LEGO building sets and flora. Part of the LEGO Botanical Collection. Discover a space for relaxation with the wide range of LEGO construction sets designed specifically for adults. Dimensions. The plum blossom flower, including plant pot and plinth, in this 327-piece building set measures over 13.5 inches high, 6.5 inches wide, and 3.5 inches deep. The plum blossom. The plum tree flower has long been a popular motif in traditional art. In a tradition that spans more than 1,000 years, it is often portrayed in ink and wash paintings amidst a classic quartet of beautiful plants known as the Four Gentlemen, or the Four Noble Ones. Together, they represent the virtues and continuous circle of the four seasons: the plum tree as winter, the orchid as spring, the bamboo as summer, and the chrysanthemum as autumn. Sprouting its vibrant crimson blossoms in the coldest months, the plum tree reminds us of our inner beauty and grace in times of adversity. Creativity of nature. Creating decor that draws inspiration from nature is a rewarding and relaxing way to set your imagination free. As you build your plum tree blossoms in this vase, You can play with symmetry and seemingly random variants and organic shapes developing in perfect balance. From buds to blossoms, you can study the stages of this magnificent, resilient flower. You can follow the building instructions to create the curated display, but you also have the creative freedom to rearrange the flowers to grow in new directions in the grid of the branches. It's the nature of creativity, fueled by the creativity of nature. Theo Bonner, LEGO Model Designer. Prunus mume, also known as Chinese plum, is a tree species in the family Rosaceae. It is also referenced by its flowers as the plum blossom. Although referred to as a plum in English, it is classified in the Armeniaca section of genus Prunus, making it an apricot. May flowers, or meihua, which bloom in the late winter and early spring, notably during the spring festival, symbolize endurance, as they are the first to bloom despite the cold. The flower is one of the 3 friends of winter. The plant is intimately associated with art, literature, and everyday life in China, from where it was then introduced in Korea, Vietnam, and Japan. In East Asian cuisine, Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese, the fruit, known as meici in Chinese, is used in juices and sauces as a flavoring for alcohol and may be pickled or dried. It is also used in the traditional Chinese medicine. Meihua are also appreciated for their characteristic fragrance, which is unique among the apricots. Origin: Prunus mume originated in the region around the Yangtze River in southern China and was cultivated domestically for both its ornamental beauty and its fruit. It was later introduced to Japan, Korea, and Vietnam. It can also be found in sparse forests, stream sides, forested slopes along trails, and mountains, sometimes even at altitudes up to 1,700 to 3,100 meters, and regions of cultivation. Description: Prunus mume is a deciduous tree that starts to flower in midwinter, typically around January until late February in East Asia. It can grow up to 4 to 10 meters tall. The flowers are 2 to 2.5 centimeters in diameter and have a strong fragrant scent. They have colors in varying shades of white, pink, and red. The leaves appear shortly after the petals fall, are oval-shaped with a pointed tip, and are 4 to 8 centimeters long and 2.5 to 5 centimeters wide. The fruit ripens in early summer around June and July in East Asia and coincides with the East Asian rainy season, the plum rain. The drupe is 2 to 3 centimeters in diameter, with a groove running from the stalk to the tip. The skins turn yellow, sometimes with a red blush as it ripens, and the flesh becomes yellow. The tree is cultivated for its fruit and flowers. Names: native to southern China, where it is known as May. The scientific name combines the Latin prunus, for plum tree, and the obsolete Japanese pronunciation of mume, which is ultimately likely derived from Middle Chinese. The plant is known by a number of different names in English, including flowering plum or plum blossoms. Another misnomer, Japanese apricot, likely derives from the plant's introduction into Western knowledge by Philip Franz von Siebold, who encountered it while living in Japan. The flower is known as the meihua in Chinese, which came to be translated as plum blossom or sometimes as flowering plum. In Chinese, it is called mei and the fruit is called meizi. The Chinese name is ume, while the Korean name is meisil. The Japanese and Korean terms derive from Middle Chinese. The Vietnamese name is mei or mo. For simplicity's sake, I will be referring to this flower as the plum blossom. Varieties. Ornamental tree varieties and cultivars of plum blossom have been cultivated for planting in various gardens throughout East Asia and for cut blossoming branches used in flower arrangements. Chinese varieties. In China, there are over 300 recorded cultivars of the plum blossom. These are classified by their phylogenics into branches, characteristics of their branches and groups, and characteristics of the flowers. Japanese varieties. In Japan, ornamental plum blossom cultivars are classified as wild, red, or bungo province types. The bungo trees are also grown for fruit and are hybrids between the plum blossom and apricot. The hibai trees have red heartwood and most of them have red flowers. The yabai trees are also used as grafting stock. Among yabai trees, nankume is a very popular variety in Japan, and whose fruits are mainly used for making umebushi. Culinary uses. For beverages. In China, sour plum juice is made from smoked plums called mume. In Korea, both flowers and the fruits are used to make tea. Plum blossom tea is made by infusing the flowers in hot water. Plum tea is made by mixing water with plum syrup and is served either hot or cold. In Japan, a similar drink is made from green plums and tastes sweet and tangy, is considered a cold, refreshing drink, and is often enjoyed in the summer. As a condiment, a thick, sweet Chinese sauce called plum sauce is also made from the plums, along with other ingredients such as sugar, vinegar, salt, ginger, chili, and garlic. Similar to duck sauce, it is used as a condiment for various Chinese dishes, including poultry dishes and egg rolls. In Korea, plum syrup is a syrup made by sugaring ripe plums, is used as a condiment and a sugar substitute. The flour pancake. In Korea, flour pancake can be made with plum blossoms. Called plum blossom pancake, the pancake dish is usually sweet with honey as an ingredient. Liquor. Plum liqueur, known as plum wine, is popular in both Japan and Korea, and is also produced in China. Plum wine is a Japanese alcoholic drink made by steeping green plums in a clear liquor. It is sweet and smooth. A similar liquor in Korea called plum wine is marketed under various brand names. Both the Japanese and Korean varieties of plum liquor are available with whole plum fruits contained in the bottle. In Taiwan, a popular 1950s innovation over the Japanese-style plum wine is the smoked plum liquor, which is made by mixing two types of plum liqueur, meijiu, made with the plum blossom, and lijiu, made with Prunus salicina, and oolong tea liquor. In Vietnam, ripe plums are macerated in sticky rice liqueur. The resulting liqueur is called Ra'ua Mo. I hope I said that right. I am not sure. Pickled and preserved plums. In Chinese cuisine, plums pickled in vinegar and salt are called xuan mei zi, sour plum fruits, and have an intensely sour and salty flavor. They are generally made from unripe plum fruits. Hua mei are Chinese preserved plums and refer to Chinese plums pickled in sugar, salt, and herbs. Umebushi are pickled and dried plums. They are a Japanese specialty. Pickled with coarse salt, they are quite salty and sour and therefore eaten sparingly. They are often red in color when purple shiso leaves are used. Plums used for making umebushi are harvested in late May or early June, while they are ripe enough in yellow, and layered with much salt. They are weighed down with a heavy stone, or some modern implement, until late August. They are then dried in the sun on bamboo mats for several days. They're then returned to the salt at night. The flavonoid pigment in shiso leaves gives them their distinctive color and richer flavor. Umebushi are generally eaten with rice as part of a bento boxed lunch, although they may also be used in makizushi or rolled sushi. Umebushi are also used as a popular filling for rice balls, onigiri, wrapped in nori. Makizushi made with plums may be made with either umebushi or umebushi paste, often in conjunction with green shiso leaves. A very similar variety of pickled plum is used in Vietnamese cuisine. The best fruit for this are from the forest around the Hoang Pagoda in Quartet province. Traditional medicine. Prunus mume is common fruit in Asia and is used in traditional Chinese medicine. Cultural significance. Plum blossoms have been well loved and celebrated across East Asian cultural sphere, beginning in China and later introduced into Vietnam, Korea, and Japan. In Chinese, the plum blossom, which is known as the meihua, is one of the most beloved flowers in China and has been frequently depicted in Chinese art and poetry for centuries. The plum blossom is seen as a symbol of winter and a harbinger of spring. The blossoms are so beloved because they are viewed as blooming most vibrantly amidst the winter snow, exuding an ethereal elegance, while their fragrance is noticed to still subtly pervade the air even at the coldest times of the year. Therefore, the plum blossom came to symbolize perseverance and hope, as well as beauty, purity, and the transitoriness of life. In Confucianism, the plum blossom stands for the principles and values of virtue. More recently, it has been used as a metaphor to symbolize revolutionary struggle since the turn of the 20th century. Because it blossoms in the cold of winter, the plum blossom is regarded as one of the three friends of winter, along with pine and bamboo. The plum blossom is also regarded as one of the four gentlemen of flowers in Chinese art, together with orchid, chrysanthemum, and bamboo. It is one of the flowers of the four seasons, which consist of the orchid for spring, the lotus in summer, and the chrysanthemum in autumn, and the plum for winter. These groupings are seen repeatedly in Chinese aesthetic of art, painting, literature, and garden design. An example of the plum blossom's literary significance is found in the life and work of poet Lin Bu of the Song dynasty. For much of his later life, Lin Bu lived in quiet reclusion on a cottage by the West Lake of Hangzhou, China. According to stories, he loved plum blossoms and cranes so much that he considered the plum blossom of Solitary Hill at West Lake his wife and the cranes of the lake as his children. Thus he could live peaceably in solitude. Legend has it that once on the 7th day of the first lunar month, while Princess Zhu Yang, daughter of Emperor Wu of Liu Song, was resting under the eaves of the Hangzhang Palace near the plum trees after wandering in the gardens, a plum blossom drifted down onto her fair face, leaving a floral imprint on her forehead that enhanced her beauty further. The court ladies were said to be so impressed that they started decorating their own foreheads with the small, delicate plum blossom design. This is also the mythical origin of the floral fashion, plum blossom makeup, that originated in southern dynasties and became popular amongst the ladies in the Tang and Song dynasties. The markings of the plum blossom designs on the foreheads of court ladies were usually made with paint-like materials such as sorghum powder, gold powder, paper jade, and other tint substances. Princess Xiaoyang is celebrated as the goddess of the plum blossom in Chinese culture. During the Ming Dynasty, the garden designer Ji Cheng wrote his definitive garden architecture monograph, Yan Yi, and in it he described the plum blossom tree as the beautiful woman of the forest and moon. The appreciation of nature at night plays an important role in Chinese gardens. For this reason, there are classical pavilions for the tradition of viewing plum blossoms by moonlight. The flowers are viewed and enjoyed by many as annual plum blossom festivals take place in blooming seasons of the meihua. The festivals take place throughout China. Plum blossoms are often used as decoration during the Spring Festival or Chinese New Year, and remain popular in the miniature gardening plants of the art of Pengjing. Branches of plum blossoms are often arranged in porcelain or ceramic vases, such as the meiping, or literally plum vase. These vases can hold single branches of plum blossoms and have been traditionally used to display the blossoms in a home since the early Song dynasty. The Moyat lineage of Wing Chun Kung Fu uses red plum flower blossom as its symbol. The plum blossoms are featured on one of the 4 flowers that appear on mahjong tile sets, where mei is usually simply translated as plum in English. It has been suggested that the Japanese practice of hanami may have originated from the Chinese custom of enjoying poetry and wine underneath plum blossom trees while viewing their flowers. That was replicated by Japanese elites. This is supported by the fact that hanami started in urban areas rather than rural areas, that Japanese people initially admired plum blossoms like the Chinese rather than cherry blossoms, and that classic Japanese poetry does not associate cherry blossoms with merriness. Korean. In Korea, the plum blossom is a symbol for spring. It is a popular flower motif, among other flowers, for Korean embroidery. Meibyong are plum vases derived from the Chinese meiping and are traditionally used to hold branches of plum blossoms in Korea. Korean ceramist master Kim Si-young incorporates the blossom into many of his openwork celadon vases. Also, during the Korean Empire period, the plum blossom became the imperial seal and royal official flower. Since ancient times, plum blossom has been filled with meaning and mystery. Plum blossoms bloom at the end of winter, and because of this, they are called the herald of the spring. They also symbolize perseverance because of how they can possibly bloom during the cold winter. Since they are considered the first flower of the year, they also represent purity and renewal. Plum flowers have 5 petals, which are believed to carry 5 different blessings, such as wealth, health, virtue, peaceful, and natural death. Japanese. Plum blossoms are often mentioned in Japanese poetry as a symbol of spring, as well as elegance and purity. When it is used in haiku or renga, they are a kigo or season word for early spring. The blossoms are associated with the Japanese blush warbler and are depicted together on one of the 12 suits of Hanafuda, the Japanese playing cards. Plum blossoms were favored during the Nara period until the emergence of the Heian period, in which the cherry blossom was preferred. Japanese tradition holds that the ume functions as a protective charm against evil, so the ume is traditionally planted in the northeast of the garden, the direction from which evil is believed to come. The eating of the pickled fruit for breakfast is also supposed to stave off misfortune. The tradition of hanami was originally performed with plum blossoms rather than cherry blossoms, as is common today. The specific custom of viewing plum blossoms in Japan is now called plum viewing. Vietnamese. In Vietnam, due to the beauty of the tree and its flowers, the word May is used to name girls. The largest hospital in Hanoi is named White Plum Blossom. Another hospital in Hanoi is named the Scent of Plum, situated in the Pink Plum Blossom Street. Yellow Plum Blossom is the name of a district in Hanoi. White Plum Blossom is also a long and old street in Hanoi. The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, and The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages are 2001 action-adventure games developed by Flagship and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy Color. They are the 7th and 8th installments of the Legend of Zelda series. Since you cannot talk about one without referencing the other, but I will be solely focusing on discussing the Oracle of Seasons game. The player controls Link from an overhead perspective. In Seasons, the Triforce transports Link to the land of Holodrum, where he sees Onyx kidnap Din, the Oracle of Seasons. The main plot is revealed once the player finishes both games. Link is armed with a sword and shield, as well as a variety of secondary weapons and items for battling enemies and solving puzzles. The central items are the Rod of Seasons, which controls the seasons in Holodrum. Before he can infiltrate Onyx's castle and Varen's tower, Link must collect the 8 essences of nature, which are hidden in dungeons and guarded by bosses. After experimenting with porting the original Legend of Zelda to the Game Boy Color, Capcom's flagship team, supervised by Yoshiki Akamoto, began developing 3 interconnected Zelda games that could be played in any order. The complexity of this system led the team to cancel one of the games. Both Seasons and Ages were a critical success and sold 3.96 million units each. Critics complimented the gameplay, colorful designs, and graphic quality, but criticized the inconsistent sound quality. Both games were re-released on the Virtual Console of Nintendo 3DS in 2013 and the Nintendo Classics service in 2023. Gameplay. The gameplay of Oracle of Seasons and Ages is similar to that of Link's Awakening for Game Boy, copying basic controls, graphics, and sounds. Like most Legend of Zelda games, exploration and combat take place from an overhead perspective. Link uses a sword for his primary attack, complemented by secondary weapons and items. Basic items such as bombs and a boomerang are common to both games. Other items are exclusive to one game with a counterpart in the other, such as the slingshot in Seasons and the seed shooter in Ages, while the magnetic gloves in Season and the switch hook in Ages are used to access otherwise unreachable areas. Unlike most Zelda games, a sword and shield is not always equipped when the player possesses them. They can be assigned, just like any other item, into either of 2 available slots. Most of each of the games is spent finding the 8 essences hidden in dungeons. Large, usually underground areas containing enemies and puzzles. Each dungeon culminates with a boss that guards the essence. When not in a dungeon, Link explores the overworld. In Seasons, the overworld consists of Holodrum and the subterranean world of Subrosia, inhabited by dwarf-like Subrosian people. The 2 worlds are linked by several portals. In Ages, Link travels between present-day Labrina and the past, connected by time holes. In either game, some areas of one world are accessible only from portals from the other and vice versa. Holodrum, Symbrosia, and Labrina contain optional side quests and upgrades for Link and his equipment. One such side quest is Ring Collection. Rings provide Link with various bonuses and abilities, such as improved defense. Other rings have no practical uses or effects. Rings that weaken Link's attacks or defense, or transform Link into an enemy creature. Another side quest is the optional trading game, in which Link receives and delivers special items to certain people throughout the land. Once completed, Link receives an upgraded sword. In both games, there are many circumstances when a previous item can be upgraded into a more useful form. The latter 3 dungeons in both games will hold a more powerful version of an item received earlier in the game. Both the sword's offensive power and the shield's defensive abilities can be upgraded twice. The central item of Oracle of Seasons is the Rod of Seasons. By standing on a stump and swinging the rod, Link can change the season and affect its surroundings. For example, to cross a body of water, Link can change the season to winter and walk on the ice. Changing the season to summer causes vines to flourish, which Link can use to scale cliffs. When Link obtains the rod, he initially cannot use it. In the course of the game, Link visits 4 towers that house the 4 spirits of the seasons. Each tower Link visits allows him to switch to an additional season. Interaction. Although the 2 are built on the same game engine, Oracle of Ages concentrates on puzzles, while Oracle of Seasons focuses on action. Each is a complete game capable of interacting with the other via passwords or a game link cable. Upon completing either game, players receive a password that can be used to play an alternative version of the other. In this version, some characters mention passwords that can be given to characters in the first game in exchange for an item or upgrade. By taking a new password back to the linked game, the item or upgrade can be transferred. Rings can be traded by this password system or randomly created by connecting 2 games with the link cable. In the alternative version, plot points are changed or expanded upon to allow the game to serve as a sequel. It also features an extended ending in which the Twin Rova kidnaps Zelda and lights the 3rd flame of despair to revive Ganon. The player can then enter Twin Rova's lair and battle Twin Rova and Ganon. Upon completing the alternative game, another password gives the player the Victory Ring, commemorating the defeat of Ganon. Plot. Seasons begins as Triforce calls out to Link from within Hyrule Castle. Link approaches it and is transported to a forest where he encounters a traveling group led by the dancer named Din. After Din welcomes Link to Holodrum, the sky becomes covered in black clouds. A voice from the cloud calls Din the Oracle of Seasons and refers to himself as Onyx, General of Darkness. A funnel cloud drops from the sky, taking Din into its dark heights. Onyx seals Din in a crystal and sinks the Temple of Seasons into the subterranean land of Symbrosia, sending the 4 seasons of Holodrum into disarray and causing them to change rapidly. Din's attendant Impa tells Link that they were headed for Hyrule. She instructs him to see the Meihua tree in Horon Village, the capital of Holodrum. Link finds a sword in a cave and makes his way to the tree. The Meihua tree tells Link that he will need the 8 essences of nature and gives him the gnarled key, which unlocks the dungeon holding the first essence. Link retrieves the 8 essences from 8 dungeons throughout Holodrum and Symbrosia and brings them to the Meiku tree, who uses them to create a huge Meiku seed, a sacred evil cleansing seed that allows Link to enter Onyx's castle. Link enters the castle, defeats Onyx, and rescues Din, who tells him that he is now a true hero and must face a new trial soon. Twin Rova, watching the scene remotely, states that the flame of destruction has been powered by the havoc Onyx has wrought. Linked ending. If one game is played as a sequel to the other by a linked password, Twin Rova captures Princess Zelda, lighting the flame of despair. Link enters a warp point by the Meiku tree and faces Twin Rova, who is attempting to use the 3 flames to revive Ganon. Link defeats Twin Rova, who sacrifices themselves in place of Zelda, resulting in Ganon being revived as a mindless, raging beast that Link kills. He frees Zelda. Together, they exit the crumbling castle. After the credits, Link waves to a crowd from a sailboat off the shore of a land with a castle in the background. Setting: Oracle of Seasons is the first and only title to take place in the land of Holodrum. This land, once calm and peaceful, is thrown into chaos and destruction when General Onyx captures Din, the Oracle of Seasons, and buries the Temple of Seasons, where the season spirits lie, by throwing the 4 seasons into disarray and causing them to change erratically. Holodrum is unique in that it is the only land to feature the 4 seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. The world changes with the seasons. Lake freeze in the winter, flowers bloom in the spring, creeks and lakes dry up in summer, and mushrooms are ready to be picked in autumn. With the 4 seasons out of order, Holodrum experiences all 4 seasons at once, creating a colorful world where all at once Link can observe the whiteness of the snow in winter, the blooming flowers in spring, the lush green vegetation of summer, and the changing colors of the leaves in autumn. Being relatively uninhibited, Link interacts with a few people outside of Horon Village, home of the guardian spirit Meiku tree. On his quest, Link will travel north into the mountains, where he will meet the Gorons of Goron Mountain and the people of secluded Sunken City. But within this one world exists another, the hidden, subterranean, lava-filled world of Symbrosia. Here, the strange, hooded creatures known as Subrosians live unbeknownst to the people of the world above. Subrosia is in fact the new location of the Temple of Seasons, which sunk from Holodrum into Subrosia. As the game progresses, Link must travel to and from Subrosia via portals to visit the Temple of Seasons and regain the power of the Rod of Seasons. Timeline placement. According to the encyclopedia, Oracle of Seasons takes place after A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, and before Oracle of Ages. The Japanese encyclopedia notes that they feature a different Link from the prior games, while the English localization refers to all 4 games as featuring the same Link. Prior to the encyclopedia, Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages were situated between A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, with all 4 games feature the same incarnation of Link. Development. In early 1999, Yoshiki Akamoto, then head of Capcom's screenwriter subsidiary Flagship, proposed remaking the original Legend of Zelda for the Game Boy Color to Shigeru Miyamoto, the game designer at Nintendo who created the series. Akamoto wanted to remake the original game so that young children could play it. but also as a test for the development team to move on to a more ambitious sequel if it was successful. Akamoto wanted to work on games and follow them up with sequels in 4 to 5 months, including Zelda games in this workflow. According to reports by IGN, Akamoto was asked to develop 6 Zelda games for the Game Boy Color, 2 based on earlier installments, and 4 original entries, but Akamoto disputed this. Contrary to Miyamoto's design mentality of creating gameplay system first, development started out with the scenario writing, which Flagship was in charge of. Some of the staff members, including the team led by director-designer Hideyomaru Fujibayashi that was responsible for tasks other than the storyline, wanted to skip the remake and create an original Zelda game right away, as the original game was deemed too difficult for new generation of players. More and more changes were applied to the point where it had been an entirely different world map. As a result, the team ran into problems because the scenario and maps had to be reworked consistently to make all the modifications match. The Game Boy Color's screen presented an additional hurdle when attempting to rework the earlier Zelda game, as it was narrower than that of the television. Players could not view an entire room without scrolling, which made it easy to overlook stairways or clues on walls. Dismayed by the lack of progress, Akamoto asked Miyamoto for help, who proposed a trilogy of games, each with a different focus on gameplay elements. This trilogy was referred to as the Triforce series, named after the Triforce, a relic that plays a role in many Zelda games. The Triforce is composed of 3 parts: the Triforces of Power, Wisdom, and Courage. Each game in the trilogy was going to be associated with a piece of the Triforce, with one game being the conversion of the original Legend of Zelda. The first game was demonstrated at Nintendo's Space World trade show in 1999 under the working title Fushigi no Kinomi Chikara no Sho. This action-oriented game concerned Ganon's theft of Princess Zelda and the Rod of Seasons, which threw the Seasons of Hyrule into chaos, a precursor to the plot of Oracle of Seasons. In the playable demonstration, Link solved puzzles by using the Rod of Seasons to manipulate the environment and change the current season. Chi no Sho, which focuses on color-based puzzles, and Yuki no Sho, which used the times of the day to solve puzzles in a mechanic similar to that of Seasons, were not shown. In the US, the games became Mystical Seed of Power, Mystical Seed of Wisdom, and Mystical Seed of Courage. The games interacted with each other. Players could begin with any of the 3 games and have the actions of the first game affect the story of the other 2, a concept conceived by Okamoto. More than 10 of Flagship's scenarists, among them Resident Evil writer Junichi Miyashita, worked on the 3 stories. The developers considered using a cell phone adapter to transfer data, but decided on a password system. The limitations of this system and the difficulty of coordinating 3 games proved too complicated, so the project was scaled back to 2 games at Miyamoto's suggestion. Condensing the games into a single cartridge was never considered, as the prospect of multiple endings and the added replay value afforded by the ability to play the games in either order was too important. Oracle of Seasons was adapted from Mystical Seed of Power, Oracle of Ages was adapted from Mystical Seed of Wisdom, and the Mystical Seed of Courage was cancelled. These sweeping design changes pushed the release dates closer to the release of the Game Boy Advance, or GBA. the next system in the Game Boy line that is backward compatible with Game Boy Color games. The team considered adding special functionality to the game triggered only when played on a GBA, but was afraid that the additional development time required for the addition would cause the games to be released after the GBA. When the release date of the GBA was postponed, the team was able to incorporate GBA functionality and the release of the games approximately a month before the GBA was released. Staggered releases were abandoned in favor of releasing the games simultaneously. This made it easier for the team to test the interaction between the games and keep the style consistent. Each game was shipped on an 8 megabit or 16 megabit in Europe cartridge. The music was composed by 2 employees of the Japanese music and sound effect production company Pure Sound, credited under the pseudonyms M. Adachi and Kyopi. Nintendo artist and series regular Yusuke Nakano designed the characters and incorporated previous creations from Ocarina of Time into Oracle of Seasons, and the characters from Majora's Mask into Oracle of Ages. The games had a marketing budget of $5 million. The first time I played Seasons, I never uncovered the true ending because I only played Seasons and did not complete the story by playing Ages. The Seasons and Ages games have some of my favorite game mechanics, the animal companions. Dimitri is a talking red Dodongo who can swim up waterfalls and against currents. He attacks enemies by biting them. Link can pick him up and throw him with the power bracelet. Moosh is a flying blue bear and is capable of hovering in the air to get past long strings of holes. Moosh can attack by using the ground pound. Moosh also warns Link that water is his weakness and that he cannot go into deep water. Ricky is a boxing kangaroo and he is capable of scaling large walls and small holes in a single jump. He is also able to perform a punch and briefly charge and unleash a tornado punch as his methods of attack. He can use his punch to break through cracked walls which would normally require a bomb. All companions can be summoned with their specific flutes, with some limitations. Depending on which animal Link befriends, the landscape of certain areas of Holodrome or Labrinia will change. My favorite companion is Ricky. Total build time, 53 minutes, 14 seconds, which means you could watch the nature documentary, The Magical 4 Hour Seasons. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Remember to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes. Thank you.